Hey everybody, and welcome to Rabbit's Ramblings, podcast 346. I don't have any new game stuff, so there's nothing really new to talk about. So I guess I will just sort of talk about things that have come out recently and that are coming out soon between now and next podcast, pretty much, that you might want to keep your eyes out for. And that's all I have for this time. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the show. So as I said in the intro, since I don't have any new game-specific stuff to talk about that I've been playing lately, I thought I might talk about some stuff I might wish I was playing. And so I guess this will just be sort of an expanded news section with maybe some more thoughts than normal about said games. They will be ordered in order that they're either coming out or sort of that they have been out. The first thing is Doom Eternal has a new DLC out, which I guess is part of their season pass thing, which is The Ancient Gods Part 1. I don't have the base game for Doom Eternal yet, so I am still quite behind on that one. It's pretty high on my wish list, but it's not super high because it's one of those games that I would just be playing single player, and I expect I'd probably only play through once, maybe a little bit more after that, so it hasn't gotten a high priority. The next one you might not have heard about is Dungeon of Naheulbeuk, the Amulet of Chaos, which I guess is based on a very popular French, I guess you could call it audio drama, which also turned into a comic, which also turned into a TV show, which now is a game that has, I guess, a worldwide launch. It is a pretty cool dungeon crawling style game, but it is in sort of XCOM-like tactical turn-based combat when you get into combat. So if you're into tactical type games, as well as D&D type role-playing games, especially parodies of those, which are few and far between, I think, you might want to give this a look. It's a bit cheaper. It's out for PC and Mac, and it's, I think, around $30 or $35, which is amazing value for the number of hours it will take you to complete. I think it's somewhere between 20 and 40 hours, depending on which source you're checking for the completion time. And I don't think it's randomized. I think it's all a straight series of quests and encounters. But there are a couple of different people you could take in your party, so that would give you a few different quests and encounters there. As well as, I think I heard somebody mention that on the higher difficulties, it will change the number of bad guys, or change your starting position, or change, a few of the variables. So I would think it is somewhat replayable, but it's not random like XCOM. Star Wars Squadrons is now out for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. It's really, really, really low down my list now. I originally was really excited about it because I really like Star Wars, and I remember I quite liked the X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter games back in the day, which I think was in the 90s. And the reviews do give it pretty much a positive spin in that regard. They say it is very much like the old X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter games. However, they're pretty hesitant to give it overwhelmingly positive reviews overall because there are only 6 maps. There's pretty much just cosmetic changes, so you're pretty much just stuck with the same, I think it's 4 base ship types, might be 5. So if you play, it pretty quickly falls into sort of this somewhat repetitive pattern because there's a limited number of maps and you're probably going to do pretty similar strategies each time. But if you were into flight simulator kind of games, you might want to check it out. I think though, due to the video footage I've seen of people playing it, I think I'm not as into that kind of game as I once was. I don't think I'd really be interested in flight simulator games anymore. I am still looking at a couple that I might pick up eventually, and who knows, I might pick up Squadrons someday. Like I said, it's very far down the list right now. But I think for me, I will probably take a pass. One game I hadn't heard about at all until recently with the release announcement is called Raj, an Ancient Epic, for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Seems like it came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard any news about it before. It is an East Indian style game in terms of how it looks, possibly in the lore they're drawing on. I don't know anything about the game really, but it looks like a really interesting mix of sort of action RPG combat, something like Diablo, but there also appear to be some puzzle aspects, as well as some really cool cinematics that are done in sort of that flat shadow puppet style, which you don't see a whole lot of that either, let alone games that are set in Middle Eastern cultures. I think the only other one I can think of is Prince of Persia. But it looks really interesting. I think it's a cheaper one. I don't think it's a full price game. I think it's a lower price, more indie developed kind of game. But it looks really interesting, so you might want to check that out. Elder Scrolls Online's next expansion, the Markath expansion for the Skyrim area, will be out on November 2nd for PC and Mac. And then just like a week later on November 10th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Looks pretty cool. I think it is just 2 dungeons. Basically, there's apparently a ton of new sets. I don't know quite where they're coming from, but I think I heard something like 20 new sets, which is insane. I think too they're also going to add a very important collection aspect to the game now, in that the sets you've collected and have bound to your account will go into sort of a permanent area, so then you can freely delete them or sell them or whatever. So it's like I have a ton of sets I'm keeping, just in case, quote unquote. But that takes up a ton of storage space. So now, if that does come out with the expansion, I can just delete those. And then later, if, someday it's like, oh, this such and such is the perfect set for your build, I'll be like, oh, well, I deleted that a while ago, but now I can just, recreate it and not worry about it. So that will be a pretty awesome change. I believe that is coming free to everybody, so you don't have to worry about paying for that. You would just be paying for access to the dungeons, and I think probably the new locations of where those sets would drop. I haven't really followed it too much, because I pretty much always get it. So if you're curious, there's always the link at my site. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be out for PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series consoles on November 10th. That's probably the big launch title for both of the new consoles, though I expect it would be just the same game on the older consoles, just not as nice looking. I expect I'll probably get it eventually, but I'm not, a super huge, insane fan of the Assassin's Creed games. I do enjoy them. I've played, I think, most of them, probably at least half, or if not, 75% of them. But they're always something I play, by myself, and then I play it like once, and then that's it. I don't ever play them ever again. So I almost always wait until they go on sale before I pick them up. So this will probably fall into the back of my mind, and I'll probably remember it, someday, maybe a year from now when I see it on sale, and it's like, oh yeah, I never picked that up. I guess I'll get it. But I can get, that a lot of people are really excited for it. It does look pretty cool. It does look like they're adding some new interesting systems to the game. So I'm curious how those will turn out, but it's not high on my priority list, but if it is for you, it's coming out pretty soon. Tetris Effect Connected for the PC and Xbox Series is coming out on November 10th. I mentioned this before, it's an old school arcade game. It's cheaper. I think it was like $40. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a fun, casual thing to play with friends. I don't know if I'd say it's super high on my list, but I think it would be one of those things that would be fun to pick up and play now and then when you have some sort of casual time you want to play something. And speaking of the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X and S are both coming out on November 10th, and the PlayStation 5 is coming out a couple days later on November 12th. Good luck with both of those for those of you looking to get one. I'm pretty sure the only people who will be getting them are ones that are pre-ordered. I don't expect there will be a lot of, free pick it up on that day kind of copies around. But if you're looking, you might want to keep your eye out for it on the various sites, and definitely put your money down to pre-order it. Godfall is coming out for PC and PlayStation 5 on November 12th. That looks pretty amazing. I would love to pick it up. It's pretty much my second game I would order if I had any money. But being the second game, that means I don't have money to pre-order it. I was hoping the second stimulus would come to be able to do that by now, but seems like it's not going to make it. But it looks like cool action, sort of fighting combat. And I've heard their end game will be sort of a randomized roguelike thing where you start off with certain equipment and then you go through this tower and you build up your equipment as you go. So if you do get through the main game and have, the equipment you like and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of done collecting up the sets. If you want to challenge yourself in sort of a randomized mode, it seems like it will have that. So it seems pretty cool. Cyberpunk 2077 will be out for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One on November 19th. I think a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series version is coming a little bit after launch, and you'll get a free upgrade if you do get that. And this is my number one game I would get if I had money. Even though Godfall is coming out like a week earlier, I think Cyberpunk would be the one that I would probably spend a ton of time playing. As I mentioned, I'm still recently playing through The Witcher 3, and I've just now caught up to where I was before. But I could easily see myself spending a ton of time playing in Cyberpunk. I've always liked science fiction more. I'm a little bit familiar with Cyberpunk from the pen and paper role-playing days way back in the day when it was brand new. And I know it's a setting that I will enjoy, and since I'm enjoying Witcher 3, I know I will enjoy Cyberpunk even more. So that's why it's my number one game, even though it's just a single-player game and I could easily get it on sale and still enjoy it just so much later. It is something I think I would spend enough time in it to very much make it worthwhile getting, as soon as I can. And sadly, Outriders, which would be PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, has been delayed until February 2021. So that's not coming for quite a while, even though I had been looking forward to that quite a bit. It will probably still be my third game I get, even though it is a couple months out. I get money rarely enough that I want to pre-order the things as soon as I can that I have the most interest in. And that and Cyberpunk and Godfall are pretty much my top 3 games I've been looking at. And that's sort of it for a review on what's coming soon. Probably knew about all of this stuff, and so it's probably just a review for you, but there you go. Maybe you heard about something new you didn't know about, and so hopefully that helped you out. And so that's it for this week's podcast. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, probably not, but I've been really extremely sad lately, as well as pretty sick. I still have the allergy, sneezy, cold thing going on. So that's got my voice kind of stuffed up. As well as, being extremely sad, making things sound a little bit different. I guess Halloween is coming up pretty soon, so happy Halloween to everybody. I know it will be extra tough and weird this time. Probably Thanksgiving even more so for many people. But try to hang on as best you can. That's pretty much all we can do these days. I don't know what I'll talk about next time. I was hoping to talk about Godfall, but that seems very unlikely. Even if I did have money for it, I'd only have a few hours between when it launched and when I would have to record something about it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'll talk about next time. Maybe I'll be able to get money for Cyberpunk and I'll be able to talk about that 2 podcasts from now. But I don't know what I'll talk about next time. Hopefully I can come up with something better than rambling about my upcoming games that I'm interested in. But hopefully you will all take care of yourself and have a good Halloween time. And hopefully I'll see everybody next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
You have been listening to Rabbit's Ramblings. If you would like to see the show notes or feed the bunny by sending a donation, you can find the show website at www.rabbit.com/podcast/rabbitsramblings.html. When you type Rabbit's Ramblings, don't use a space. If you would like to send me an email, you can do so at rabbit@rabbit.com. If you like my page, you can also post on Facebook at rabb1t's. You can follow me on YouTube at rabb1t's. I have a page on Patreon at www.patreon.com/rabbit, RABB1T. You can set up a monthly recurring subscription there at a price point of your choice. Be sure to put the number 1 in place of I anytime you type rabbit. Rabbit's Ramblings is copyright Eric Stryker, using a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Derivatives License, 2020.